Anyway, we're just going to keep growing it as fast as we can to make sure people can go wherever they want, whenever they want, with convenience. Keep upgrading the capability of the supercharger system so it can charge things faster. We're going to start adding amenities to the supercharger stations, to the really big stations. We'll start adding amenities and just make it so that when you do a long-distance trip in a Tesla, you love the experience. That's the overarching goal. And then autopilot. It's definitely been a tough slog transitioning from the Mobileye vision chip to Tesla's internal vision system. But I think we're almost there in terms of exceeding the ability of the Hardware 1 cars. So the Hardware 2 cars have all of the hardware necessary for full autonomy. So 8 cameras, 12 of the most advanced ultrasonic sonar sensors, a radar, a very good GPS, and an IMU, and everything necessary to go full autonomy. It's really about upgrading the software over time. So I think with the next release of software, which is maybe as soon as next week, we will finally exceed the experience of the Hardware 1 cars, and then it's going to advance very rapidly from there. And our goal remains being able to drive autonomously from a parking lot in California to a parking lot in New York without touching a control at any point along the way. So the Gigafactory is going quite well. That's I think the latest picture of the status. Obviously, the ultimate footprint will be quite a bit bigger than what you see even there, and we believe it'll be within a few years have a capacity equal to all other lithium-ion battery factories in the world combined in one building. So if you add up everything in the U.S., China, Europe, and Korea, everywhere else, this one factory will output more than all of them combined. So it's really, the sheer scale of this is difficult to appreciate unless you're there in person. It is just staggeringly enormous. That allows us to achieve high economies of scale, so that with very high production rates, we're maximizing economies of scale, enabling us to get the lowest cost per kilowatt hour in the world, but at the same time have the most advanced batteries. So the combination of the best technology at the lowest cost, I think, is just a very, obviously a great position to be in. And I think it's a fundamental a part of Tesla's strategy. There's just no one else who's attempting anything, as far as we know, even attempting anything on this scale. And so I think that puts us in a very, very strong competitive position to sustain the growth of the company for several years to come. And then over time, there will be several gigafactories. I think eventually, 10 or 12, maybe 20, I don't know, a lot. It's like a giant machine. So we'll keep refining this and productizing it, and then building gigafactories around the world. An important thing that we're making progress on is factory safety. So far this year, Tesla is 32% below the automotive industry injury rate, and that trend is better and better with each passing month. So I think we're on track to be less than half the injury rate of the automotive industry, and by far better than any other US factory, which I think is something that's extremely important. And then we've got some future products. So the semi-truck we're going to unveil at the end of September, and I think that's very exciting. A lot of people don't think you can do a heavy-duty, long-range truck that's electric, but we are confident that this can be done. So we'll be showing off a working prototype not too long from now, the end of September. And we've shown it to a number of the organizations that buy heavy-duty trucking, and they all love it. They just want to know how many can they buy and how soon. It's like cool. And we're involving them in thank you. And we're getting them closely involved in the design process. So the biggest customers of the heavy-duty Tesla Semi are helping ensure that it is specified to their needs. So it's not a mystery. They already know that it's going to meet their needs because they help decide they've told us what those needs are. So it's going to really just be a question of scaling volume to make as many as we can. And then Model Y, I'm really excited about Model Y. It's there's been some criticism like we should sort of do it derived from the Model 3 platform, but I think actually we made a mistake in trying to derive the Model X from the Model S platform. It would have been better to just design an SUV the way an SUV should be designed, design a sedan the way a sedan should be designed. Otherwise, you're just trying to shoehorn something in that doesn't make sense. Also, there are a number of, I think, really major manufacturing improvements that can be done that allow us to build the car in a way that a car has never been built before. The capital expenditures, I think, would be substantially less. I'm confident that we could drop the CapEx by a factor of 2 between Model 3 and Model Y, which I think is a really big deal, and accelerate its readiness despite the new technologies. So we're aiming for that, to hit the roads in 2019 approximately. And probably the demand for the Model Y will exceed the demand for the Model 3. So there's a few other things I haven't mentioned here. I've got to, I just really recommend showing up for the semi-truck unveiling. Maybe there's a little more than we're saying here. So maybe. Could be. Who knows? Model 3 configurators. So expect that a configurator to go live towards the end of next month when we deliver the first production Model 3. So yeah, we're definitely on track to deliver the first production Model 3 next month. That's going to be real exciting. And then we'll have the configurator go live right at that point. Now, I should say that we've kept the initial configurations for Model 3 very simple. This is critical to achieving a rapid production ramp. Big mistake we made with the X, which is primarily my responsibility, way too much complexity right at the beginning. That was very foolish. So, when you think of going back to the launch of the Model S only had one configuration at start of production. And now it had one configuration because that's all we could do. Not because we were really clever. and then Model X, hubris extraordinaire, we added, I mean, it is like a Fabergé egg of cause. I think it's really an amazing product, but it has way too many cool things in it that should have really been rolled in with version 2, version 3. That would have been the sensible way to do it. We got overconfident and created something great that probably will never be made again, and perhaps should not be. But it is an amazing car, and as we keep refining the software in the Model X, it's just going to get better and better. So initially, the Model 3 configurators, it's kind of going to be like, what color do you want, and what size wheels do you want? That's basically going to be the configurator. And then we'll show what other versions are coming later as soon as we get configuration 1 right. but and with a timeline associated with each configuration. For example, we were going to start off with dual motor, but that's like, wait a second, we just doubled the probability of something going wrong if we get two motors, because they're two different motor architectures. One motor is optimized for highway travel, and one's optimized for stop-and-go traffic, which is great for maximizing your mileage in city and maximizing your highway, your mileage on freeway, and having incredible acceleration. But it's too much complexity right off the bat, so it'll just be single motor to begin with, and then we'll have the dual motor config, if we're lucky, toward end of this year, more likely early next. So I wouldn't worry too much about the configurator, because you only have to decide like what color do you want and what size wheels. That's basically it for initial production. In terms of how many factories are in the works, we're really giving serious consideration to three factory locations right now, but we're going to try to hold our powder dry, keep the powder dry until we're confident of the locations and the timing. But like I said, ultimately, probably there's at least 10 of these worldwide, and maybe as much as 20. How long of a wait will it be for customers wanting Model 3 and haven't placed a 1K deposit? This will be a long wait. There's a lot of people that have ordered the car. I'm guessing if you put a deposit down on Model 3 now, it's probably, well, it's going to be over a year, end of next year before you get it, something like that. On the other hand, there are more and more deposits every week, so if you want it, then definitely put down the deposit. The line isn't getting shorter. We're doing our best to do this ramp, but we've got to do the ramp right. We've got to make sure the quality is good, the safety is good, and it's crazy hard to make cars. I'll tell you, there's like 10,000 unique items, and it will move as fast as the slowest item. So, and then even beyond the stuff that's internal Tesla, you say like, okay, who's the least lucky supplier we have out there? Or what supplier cares the least, or whatever the case may be. And then you look at our supply chain, and it's like, wow, our supply chain is like covering Earth. So like, what are the odds that there's going to be some force majeure events somewhere on Earth? Like, pretty high. You know, one of the things I want to do with Model Y is also just simplify the supply chain so that we're not inheriting force majeure risk from Earth. Because Earth is big, and if something bad happens on Earth at any given point in time. So we must stop inheriting force majeure risk from all of Earth. You can solve this by buffering parts, but if the parts aren't made to begin with, you can't buffer them. So yeah. Are the plans in place to offer battery upgrades? So we do offer that already. I wouldn't recommend doing a battery upgrade until the existing battery that you have has a fair bit of life on it. And there are some limitations because there can be a pretty big weight difference between the lightest battery pack and the heaviest. So we can't go from lightest to heaviest. But we definitely can upgrade battery packs really in every car. And we will offer that and make that easier with each passing year. But if somebody's got a new battery pack, it's not going to make financial sense to upgrade just the battery pack. Better to sell the car that you've got and then buy a different one, either new or used. And I should mention we're going to really give more prominence to used Teslas on our website. By the way, we're not going to call them pre-owned. That is like a bogus name. That's so bullshit. That's BS. It's used. Okay, everyone knows that. Who are we fooling here? So the used Tesla section of the website is going to get a lot more attention, and particularly if the car is 4 years old and it's got a lot of mileage, you could buy a Model S. To the supercharger stations, to the really big stations, we'll start adding amenities and just make it so that when you do a long-distance trip in a Tesla, you love the experience. That's the overarching goal. And then autopilot. It's definitely been a tough slog transitioning from the Mobileye vision chip to Tesla's internal vision system. But I think we're almost there in terms of exceeding the ability of the Hardware 1 cars. So the Hardware 2 cars have all of the hardware necessary for full autonomy. Maybe as soon as next week, we will finally exceed the experience of the Hardware 1 cars, and then it's going to advance very rapidly from there. And our goal remains being able to drive autonomously from a parking lot in California to a parking lot in New York. Anyway, we're just going to keep growing it as fast as we can to make sure people can go wherever they want, whenever they want, with convenience. Keep upgrading the capability of the supercharger system so it can charge things faster. We're going to start adding amenities with 8 cameras, 12 of the most advanced ultrasonic sonar sensors, a radar, a very good GPS, and an IMU, and everything necessary to go full autonomy. It's really about upgrading the software over time. So I think with the next release of software, which is